The following podcast is intended for mature audiences. If you enjoy our work, please like, comment, subscribe, and follow the links in the description. Thanks for your support, and enjoy.
Greetings and salutations, listeners. I, Eric J. Chucci, joined as always by the D100 in my dice bag, the boy.
So I'm big and fat and you don't use me very much?
Sure.
Okay.
But you go from 0 to 100.
It's an entirely random faction, yeah.
Yeah. This is the Two Nerds Podcast. Click the links in the description. I'm tired as fuck.
Yeah, he had to be up super early today. And
I didn't have to. I in fact slept in, but it's been a weird week. Speaking of weird weeks, next week, our dear bald-headed the boy will not be in the Two Nerds studio.
No, I will be off doing real life things.
For real life people. So tonight we're recording 2 episodes of the same fucking thing, which is a pretty sweet tabletop RPG Ask meme that I was directed to on Tumblr. It is at Ryan Cerebral Hemorrhage, known as idaman, that's IDAMAN 008.tumblr.com. In case I forget to credit it in episode 2, there it is.
We've answered a couple of these surveys before, and I just want to get it right out front. Opinions change. We aren't actually robots, although we play one on TV. Just the one in a big coat. And so our answers for this one might be different because, our perspective has shifted, or in the mood we're in, something else pops up to mind. If you want to be a pedantic asshole and point out that we made a different answer on a previous podcast, I encourage you to do so in the comments. Also, like, favorite, and subscribe.
Yeah, and share it to your friends because everybody
Hit that notification. Hit that notification button so you know when the Two Nerds podcast goes up.
Nah, not
smash that like button.
Not even's me. Buy my book. You don't have to hit that notification thing. That's annoying as shit.
It is.
Fucking shit I like comes up on YouTube and it's like, hey man, you want to check this video out? No, I'm fucking busy. I'll do it later.
All right, literally, the thing I talked about in our last podcast as my favorite web show was like, you should turn on that notification. In their last video, I was like, no.
That is the most annoying
no,
bullshit.
Holmes. I had a job.
I don't need up to the minute. I don't have a job. And I don't need to know that shit.
When my shit goes off like in the middle of my work day, I gotta look because it might be something important, and it's just your fucking YouTube show. That's gonna make me want to watch your show less. So I'm gonna do us both a favor and just check your shit when I get home, like I usually do.
Yeah, I will watch it when it's time to watch it. Often I like to save them up for a big glut.
You like to like Netflix binge that shit?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, because I like to have shit on in the background a lot, so
Hey man, views is views.
Views is views.
Exactly how we think of you, listener. Views is views. Watch us however, whenever you want.
Like as many times as you want.
Like 12 would be great.
You can use this as like a weird ASMR, even though we don't do the moist lips thing, and you don't.
There's a little moment there. There's a little stare down in the Two Nerd studio.
Little moment.
Because he saw me. He saw me leaning towards the void.
He was getting them lips all wet and flappy for you.
Oh. So, yeah, we're going to actually do the podcast now, I think.
15 questions in one, 15 questions in another. 1 week after another. It makes my Monday night next week a hell of a lot easier.
Happy to help, I guess.
Yeah. So, question number 1. Game master, player, or both, and why?
Both. It depends entirely on... not necessarily what week it is, because it's not that mercurial. It's more like what month it is. Maybe what 4 to 5 month period it is. But I'll go through phases where I want to like DM really hard, or where I couldn't come up with something to actually run to save my life, so I'd rather be a player. But it's both, because depending on the time of the time period, it might be one or the other.
Sure. I ditto.
Yeah.
I mean, like, not quite as... I've got a certain amount of juice in the tank for DMing. And once that juice is out, I need to refill it. And if y'all want to be role-playing, then I probably should be a player. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen.
That's a pretty short answer. It's 15 questions looking. They're mighty slim
Well,
at this point.
I mean, look, hold on. We've already filled out 4 minutes.
All right. Well, timestamp checking is probably the least entertaining content we could possibly do. So
I think the timestamp check is like our brand. Like, because I don't hear anybody else usually talking about that, where they're like, nah, look how many minutes we got. It's cool. I feel like that's part of our identity as a podcast.
Well, the overriding air that it feels kind of like a chore.
As much of a chore as it is for you to listen to, I'm sure.
If
you guys like the timestamp thing,
I'm going to wake up roasted after that.
When did you start role-playing and how old were you?
14, and when a friend of mine from school brought the D&D books into school and suggested we make characters and play during our free time. We were in an after-school program, not for like troubled youths, it was for nerd kids actually. And we
troubled youths.
And we played at lunch. I went over to a couple people's houses to play before, but it was mostly in school. But yeah, no, 14. High school.
You know the funny thing? I think I was also 14.
High school, man. That's where D&D comes to life.
It was me and my homeboy Stock. My mom had bought me the first edition Blue Books. And I didn't have the Red Books. I've told this story before. So there's not a whole lot I could do with them. And I had them for years, actually, before then. But...
the first time you actually got to, like, into play.
Yeah, because he was like, oh, I mostly remember what you're supposed to have. And he was pretty close. So he DM'd me a couple of sessions, and it was really rad. I started writing my own RPGs from there. And he moved away, and he took my Blue Books with him, the bastard. But I've got a new set now, because my wife is awesome.
Cool.
Question 3, what was the first role-playing book you ever owned? I answered that. Damn it. It was the Blue Books.
Don't tell the whole story again. That'd be weird.
Yeah.
Don't.
Fucking listener checked out and they're like, shit, did I hit rewind? Did a podcast repeat? How long was I gone? What year is it?
You know what? I don't honestly know. I've usually used other people's books. I guess technically like 3.5 Player's Handbook, DMG, those sorts of things. Those... I owned those at a certain point, I think. But aside from that, no, I usually use other people's books. I'm a mooch. Whatever.
I have too many. Sad many.
We didn't even like 4th edition that much. And we have, I think, all of the books.
No, we don't.
We have like 9 books. How many more did they publish?
Like about 6 more.
Jesus.
And that's not counting like...
splat
adventures.
books.
Well, those are splat books, but they're not counting adventures.
See, unless they actually go splat, I don't really like...
They're still splat in terms of, like, here's some crazy bullshit you can do.
That's fair.
Question number 4. Describe the first game you ever ran or played in.
Oh, okay. We're doing embarrassing story time on the 2 Years podcast. Is that what this is?
It just says first game, man. It's embarrassing. That's your problem.
All right. So I wanted to get into...
It was a titty golem.
I wanted to get into D&D. And my first DM, really nice guy named Alec. I didn't play a whole lot with him after that. I ended up with, another group mostly, but... I played some with him too. But, anyway, he wanted to make me a class because he wanted to try and get me in with the stuff I was already interested in. Okay. All right, listener. All right. I was a weeb in high school. Like, in freshman year of high school, I was a weeb. So he made me the class to be a Full Metal Alchemist style alchemist. And it was a good class. Like, looking back on it, it had balanced features. It was good progression. I would have been broke by, like, level 20, but you're supposed to be in 3.5.
By level 20, you're talking about, like, level 15.
level 5, really.
Fuck level 10.
But like we started out at like level 2 or 3, but he made the first 2 levels for some reason.
For future reference.
Yeah.
I understand this.
But it was like a really well balanced class. But oh my god, looking back on it, it is so cringy that was my first D&D experience. But it was really fucking fun. Like there was a goblin army, and there was like I got the opportunity to rook somebody by making a sword out of what looked like pure silver, but was I think like tin. Like it was a fun D&D experience, but it was also amazingly cringe.
I
had a long coat. It wasn't red. It was blue.
Wow. That makes it all better.
Yeah, it does.
Mace Hughes.
Oh, now I'm hurt.
Anyhow, I played that fucking first edition game. I made a full party of people, but I only really played as one of them.
And the rest were just like, and these are my comrades at arms.
Well, I mean, like, it was more that there were some that the DM and I took part ownership of. Like, I would be like, I don't think the character would do that, or, you know, I think he wants this. But then, for the most part, it would be like how my dwarf character interacted with them. My main character was a dwarf, and then I had a wizard, a halfling, an elf that was purely NPC, and a cleric. And we went on a dungeon crawl. And then on the way back from the dungeon, my wizard died to rock baboons. So we went to get him resurrected, but we didn't have enough money for resurrection, so we got him reincarnated. He came back as like a horrible goblin monster. He was not happy about it.
That's actually super interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just thinking. I can't remember the exact release dates on these movies, but I think the first Lord of the Rings movie came out before my freshman year of high school.
Okay.
I'm almost certain. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
That sounds about right.
So, I've never played D&D in a non-Lord of the Rings movie universe. You have, I think, by a shade. Did dwarves have Scottish accents back then? Or was that a thing that became universal truth only after those movies?
Well, it was like a thing. It's always been a thing. I don't know where the dwarves with Scottish accents came from originally.
Me neither, because it's not really in... I mean, it's not in Lord of the Rings, which is where you would expect.
Right.
That to, but it's not really.
I don't remember... I don't think I had seen The Hobbit then yet, like the original.
Like the Rankin Bass one?
Mm-hmm. Or any of the Lord of the Rings movies. I might have seen Return of the King, but by then dwarves weren't really around.
Like...
Not enough for it to be like, all dwarves are Scottish.
In like the animated features?
Yeah. And yeah, I definitely played before the original movies.
And like dwarves were Scottish then too.
Well, mine wasn't. He was, I don't know, Texan, I guess, which is like the secondary dwarf. If you're not Scottish, you're some sort of American Southern.
Well, like maybe just because it's a very like robust, manly accent.
Well,
dwarves are robust, manly folk.
It's people who are honest, salt of the earth, like hard work and the satisfaction of a job well done, have values in tradition and...
So I should be playing him with a Pennsylvania Dutch accent.
I mean, sure, if you want to. It's a theory behind, what you could do. I don't know. I don't know where it came from.
It just occurred to me, is all.
Yeah, I mean, guys with beards, I guess. Where's your mind go first? Amish, I suppose.
Yeah, but I'm American, so maybe for everybody else, the Scots, maybe there's a big beard culture
maybe that's
there.
It.
All right, well, that was an interesting little hole we went down. What was the next question?
It ate up like a minute, I think. What system did you grow up with?
D&D 3.5. Well, 2nd edition, then 3.5.
Depends on what you mean by
then like in the middle, a horrible mishmash of the two.
I would say I've played the most of, well, at this point, who knows, but cold.
Yeah, I know it's cold.
But when I was a youngling, it was either 2nd edition or 3.5. It's hard to tell. I think I made, excuse me, got a bit of a cough. I think I made the most 3.5 characters, but we might have played more 2nd edition.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. It depends on your definition of grow up. Live my life from basically 14 to 17-ish. That the first thing I mentioned, second edition, some mishmash, but I've honestly played way more 3.5 because there was a period there where I didn't roleplay at all because I moved away from all my D&D friends, and the new school I was at, all the people who played D&D were tools. So, hey, people from my secondary high school, I'm sorry, you were tools.
I'm sorry you're tools too, for all that matters. I was thinking, like from the point where I started playing D&D until I was able to purchase firearms.
Yeah, then definitely 3.5. Definitely 3.5, because when I first met you, we played a whole lot of fucking D&D.
Yeah, we did. So, yeah, it's probably second edition. Probably. It's neck and neck. Or some people insist on calling it Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
It's advanced, Mark.
Well, I've never understood that, because usually when I hear it, it's not from elitists. They're like, oh yeah, there's first edition D&D, and then there's Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and then third edition.
It's, I would expect it from grognards. I would expect it from elitists because it's advanced. It's not your pleb Wizards of the Cash third edition.
Like TSR was any
better. Yeah, TSR wasn't better.
TSR were a bunch of fucks. What was that thing we found out the other day when we were at Long John Silver's? The reason Dragon Warrior was not called Dragon Warrior in the U.S.
It's called Dragon Quest because TSR literally owned the copyright or trademark on the phrase Dragon Warrior.
So they had to call it something else, or vice versa. I might have that backwards, but whatever. Which system do you play now?
Recently, D&D 5th edition. A lot of Cult, they off-mentioned, but currently the current edition's unavailable. There's a previous edition that's
it's not up for sale.
Not up for sale right now, but it was. And if you caught it, good for you. But we play a lot of that. We play a lot of D&D 5th edition. That's about it, really.
Yeah, we'll play some weird shit now and then, but that's mostly
like one-offs and
sure. We've played
Beyond the Wall. We played that for 2 sessions.
We used to play 4th edition.
Yeah, we played a fair amount of 4th edition. That sure was New Coke.
I think it was more like Crystal Pepsi, but some people liked it, some people hated it. It probably shouldn't replace Pepsi.
Fair.
Longest campaign you've run or played in? That's hard to measure.
It's definitely one of ours in terms of actual time spent.
And that's the way I would say best to talk about actual time spent, which in that case, I'd say probably the one with Maul and O'Rainey.
Yeah, we've actually role-played session length at least a couple solid days of full time in that 25, 30 hours at least. I'm very proud of that campaign. But I would say that, or maybe the old Final Fantasy game, the 6th one. That one was pretty long.
Maybe that did take a while. It was probably the 2nd edition, the main campaign I played in. It started off with my gray elf rogue, and then I transitioned into totally not Driss Do'Urden, which he wasn't, but I did just read the book. And then I ended up playing a homebrew race for a session, and then it all fell apart. I'm not even friends with the guy anymore. But that was a long time. Sessions would take forever, and he kept splitting the party.
Your stories of that guy make me judge him as a DM so hard.
I mean, you probably should. It was there was some good stuff there. It's kind of like any Star Wars movie that isn't the original trilogy. There's some really good stuff there, but also some that is not.
Yeah, even Rogue One.
Even Rogue One has parts that are
I could take or leave this.
Yeah. Where did you meet your current gaming group? Here at my house.
My house. I met my current gaming group at my house at 5 a.m. when I was getting up for school, and he was watching Hip Hop Harry.
He was a bear, not a hippo, and I always remember him as a hippo because that would have been better.
And then we riffed about Hip Hop Harry being a ridiculous concept and an amazing concept, and then I went to school. I had already known the other biggest part of my previous role-playing group since I was literally born.
And then our 4th member You met at work a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Uh,
My day job.
I also met him in similar fashion and had started dating my wife a few hours beforehand. And same, Brandy said, I think we should start playing with Beard. And I was like, I don't know, I hate people. And she was like, nah, he's cool though. And I'm like, I don't know. And now he lives in our old spare room.
Because he is cool, though.
Yeah, it turned out he was cool. I kind of don't have a lot of friends.
Hey, me neither. It's welcome to being a grown-up.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Like, people suck, so.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I can't do Skype campaigns. I tried. I met some great people, and they were like,
Alright, so here's the thing. I would think that I'd be okay at them. But I keep looking into them, and something keeps making me go, no.
Well, it's like, I don't like being on Skype, period. Especially when it's multiple people, especially when they're doing something that they don't deem important enough to censor the rest of their fucking lives for. Because, like, the amount of times somebody decides to derail whatever is going on with some dumb conversation about their stupid fucking lives, and I don't mean that in like other people's lives are inherently
No,
stupid.
our lives are stupid fucking lives too.
Sure,
Let's be clear.
But like, it's like the really inane stuff, like bitching about your parents, bitching about your girlfriend.
And it's stuff that in an actual live tabletop, you're with your friend setting, I could accept because it's the kind of thing that friends do. But even us, and let's be real, our group is prone to going off the rails, so much so that we had to move the setting of our role-playing away from the living room because the living room had too many distractions. But we accept a certain amount of that. There's a certain amount of de-stressing before the game gets.
That's how games go. But like, I'm talking about like, and this is a little bit more league, at least going off on tangents, but just like people arguing about dumb shit or people getting added into the Skype call who have nothing to do with what's going on, and when they want to talk about, hey man, you remember that one time, man, we went to that place, man, we saw that guy, man, you remember we saw that guy, man, that guy was like, what, man? We were like, what, man? And he was like, what, man? And I was like, what, man? I can't believe you, man. Don't say that shit, man, that guy was cool, man. And then, like, the dude who's sitting there just playing the game, not saying a fucking word, and his mom or his lady walks into the room and is like, I can't believe you need to clean this shit up. I'm tired of your fucking lazy ass. You need to get the fuck up and you need to do this shit I told you to do. And he's like, bitch, I told you. And you're like, God damn it, I don't want to listen to this shit.
I feel like this is a very personal moment.
All of them. Every fucking time I'm in a group call on Skype, it's like, hey, don't worry. It's just us three introvert friends. And, like, Bangin' Bozy. And Bangin' Bozy's the one who's, like, talking about his fucking old lady. Or the kids start talking. Or you say something like shit. And they're like, hey, man, my babies are in this room. And it's like, fucking why? Put on some goddamn headphones. What the shit? They're $1. You can get them at the dollar store. Don't you even give me that shit about you can't afford headphones, Bangin' Bozy.
Bangin' Bozy, the neglectful father, one of the many of the roster of Tuners characters.
And it's like, the other thing is, when I'm playing in a live setting, you can read people's faces. You can read the room.
It's so much harder to do over Skype because all you have is tone of voice.
Well, and even if there's like video,
you know what? Honestly, the people who say people who don't buy into you tell them that so much the big part of human communication is body language. You tell people that, and there are people who be like, "No, I don't think that's true." Get on any Skype call.
Well, I mean, I worked
or any long phone conversation. Bullshit, you don't have a harder time understanding someone when you can't see them.
And it's about empathy and shit too. I worked in a call center for about 9 months. That drove me crazy. I had an anxiety attack. It's how I found out I have anxiety. That's how bad it got.
I probably shouldn't talk about my current employment. Moving on.
But that's where I worked in one. And that was horrible. And then I went to work at Walmart. Fucking Walmart. The place people make jokes about online? What a glorious wonderland of human accomplishment. Just wonderful person after wonderful person. I think maybe there was I had problems with the customers. You have problems with customers. But I think there was only one pair of customers that I just plain did not like. And that's because they were really mean to each other. It was this little married couple.
In your presence?
Yeah, this little married... Oh, they were fucking abusive, man.
The kind of people who should clearly have gotten divorced like 20 years ago.
Or just kept it at their house. Don't go shopping together. What the fuck?
No one's making you guys do. You're
Yeah.
adults. If you hate each other this much, you go hang out in your workshop or whatever, and you go hang out in your TV room or whatever, and just like don't be near you. Like if you don't believe in divorce, that's fine, but like don't ruin other people's day. That's rude.
Or bang it out and get over yourselves. One of the two. What are we talking about? RPGs?
Yeah.
Strategic combat or dramatic plot lines? I mean, like, let's be honest. It's probably dramatic plot lines.
It's dramatic plot lines. There's a part of me that misses a certain amount of strategic combat because I actually really like it, and it's actually if it didn't take 28 years to accomplish, it's one of my favorite things about 4th edition.
Same.
Because the strategic combat element was really strong. It just took 90 years to kill anything, so it stopped being fun and started being a chore. But the strategic combat element of 4th edition was really strong. I like strategic combat. I think that's a very, very fun way to game.
I agree.
But unfortunately, our personalities, both mine, yours, and the other people in our role-playing group together, just doesn't mesh well with that. It's dramatic plot lines are more how we naturally gravitate, which I think says some stuff.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of why it was such an easy decision for me, because yes, I would. Why can't I have both? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
I
if
mean,
you're making me pick,
ideally you want both, but if you're making me pick, I remember more about plot lines than about critical hits.
yeah, at the end of the day. There are some fights that I remember being good, but it was like because ridiculous shit happened. Like that time I rode a giant's penis with a switchblade all the way down.
Oh.
Yeah.
Owie, ow, ow.
Yeah.
I like as an example, I remember one of the things I remember most about like a D&D campaign that had a lot of combat in it comparatively for our group was a fight that I wasn't even in, which was this epic confrontation between between the vengeful anime protagonist that Brandy was playing and this Yakuza boss that she was trying to avenge her family from. It was this amazing, like, perfect kung fu fight scene, and I couldn't fucking tell you word one about, like, rolls or hits or crits or whatever. I remember the story.
You know, I think there's another reason strategic combat has gone out the window. You and Brandy roll really well.
Yeah, you have to find story-driven ways to like challenge and keep our interest, because if it's just a fight, we're probably going to win.
Yeah, it's not even like strategic combat. You don't have to come up with a strategy. You just hit it once really hard, it's dead.
Well, I mean, you do if we're fighting really tough things, but we also roll really well for, like, in D&D, hit points.
Yeah. So.
In Colt, I make characters with as high a grip as I can manage. So our characters are tough, and we roll really well. We both do, just naturally. Like, I'm sure this luck wouldn't hold up in Vegas, but in terms of with our dice at the D&D table, we both roll really well pretty much all the time. Me less so. There are certain characters who I have run who have been completely cursed. I've run characters who I never rolled anything above a 10 on a d20. Ever. The entire time I played the character. But Brandy is just consistently, like, if she rolls less than a 12, she's almost confused.
I err on the side of middling.
Yeah. You roll like a normal human.
No, I err on the side of middling. It's not like there's an even spread. It's middling. Usually just middling enough that it's not. Nothing happens. Yeah, so favorite RPG genre?
I don't know that I have an answer for this one. I like different things about a bunch of genres, and I feel like they're all useful for different sorts of games.
I would agree. I will probably always come back to fantasy. Because there's a lot I like about cyberpunk. There's a lot I like about modern supernatural or modern fantasy.
Or sci-fi.
Or, like proper sci-fi, whatever. But I will always come back to fantasy.
That's I can totally get that. For me, it really is a toss-up. It depends on what I want to accomplish with the game and what kind of character I want to play.
Right on. All right. Question number 11 is your first character. We both answered this. I didn't give his name. It was Bolar Darkeshield.
I straight up couldn't tell you. It had an X in it. Because for a while, pretty much all my D&D characters had an X somewhere in their name. Because I was young and felt X was an underutilized letter. only used by tryhards and assholes, and I wanted to reclaim it. A lot of Alexes and Alexanders in my history.
And Zigzaxel. Zigzaxel, Zigzaz.
Oh.
You did finally use that once, but it like lasted a session. It didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, no. I mean, look, it was a funny meme. Eventually, I had to do it.
Zigzaxel is my Meisterjäger, basically.
Yeah.
It's that one thing everybody always wants me to eventually play, but God, why would I do that to anyone? Your favorite character that you played?
Too hard. Sorry.
Too hard. Can you give me like top 2 or 3?
Top 2 or 3 is probably the original Tyrannix wizard I played a long ass time ago. Paxton Gaikutsu, another wizard, who I just love his character arc. And that's really hard. I've got a lot of characters I have a lot of attachment with. Maybe Laz?
Yeah.
Just because, again, it's the story that he was a part of more than the character himself.
I'd like to take credit for those, but I ripped those storylines off of other shit. So I told it real well, though. It's hard for me to favorite characters.
It's really hard because now I'm thinking there's a bunch of other characters that I also really loved. Like, the vast majority of them are with my current gaming group because my old one I basically just played the same character a lot. Right. But yeah, no, that's a hard fucking question. I find it easier to find favorite characters I've DM'd, but that might be a question later because I haven't read ahead, so we'll move on.
It might be. I want to say maybe Guy Turkish. He was a elf. Rogue. He was a rogue. But he was like, I leaned in a backstreet brawling kind of direction.
Well, his name was Guy Turkish, and the Guy Ritchie films had been out, so yes. I assume I can roughly understand the character's shape.
Well, the best part was this was fucking Monty Hall DM, so he was giving away shit left, right, and center. So before the character really got off the ground, I had Mithril laced his hands in the bones. And so like I got all these crazy damage bonuses to like, barehanded fighting. And then he got turned into a chicken. I don't remember if he bought an item that turned into a chicken or it was like part of a curse or something, but so they decided, he and his cohorts, that they needed to get into the cockfighting business with this mithril-beaked, mithril-taloned chicken with the braids of a man. We made some money. And then he exploded in like some sort of fireball incident. He was the guy who cut that giant's dick up. But
it's good. It's good.
Like Maul was a great character. Gil was a great character. Yeah, but it's hard to pin down favorite. And I've done so fucking many.
Yeah, he has a chart.
I have a chart. I have a chart for pretty much everything.
He does.
What was your most ridiculous character? This might be easier to answer.
The paladin who ended up giant-sized.
Yeah.
Well, cleric who ended up a paladin who ended up giant-sized. That's win. I think that one wins pretty easily.
The owl who stole the pirate ship.
God, that was my proudest moment as a DM.
I
had nothing to do with it.
I don't know how we would ever pick that campaign back up as much as you were invested in it. Just, we ended that last session on that owl looking at the fucking, what amounted to the what are they called? The guys who aren't the assassins in Assassin's Creed.
Templar Order.
The Templar Order. Looking at what amounted to the Templar Order, trying to take him down from the docks, and this fucking owl wearing a pirate hat looked at them as the pirate ship sailed away. In my head, Pirates of the Caribbean.
In my head also. Captain Jack Owlington is great.
And I've played some ridiculous fucking characters. This wasn't even actually one of my characters. It was like a caveat so that my character could stay where he was, but I could still be part of the game, was that he sent like a familiar out.
So here's a question. Who do you think is the most ridiculous character? Because I don't think this will be on the list. Because it's about me. And that I've played while you were around. Because all my dudes are pretty low-key.
Yeah, that's like your jam. You don't do, like...
bombast.
No. Batshit. Like, the biggest bombast you get is with... the guy who was Varys, the spider.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, but that was even fake bombast. I suppose my most ridiculous character in that sense might be Daza or alternate universe Braun. But he's just Australian. He's actually pretty normal. He's just Australian.
What's the most ridiculous character you ever played? A regular Australian person. Moving on.
Ridiculous by comparison. I love you, Tiger. Don't take that the wrong way. This guy's like outback crazy. You know the type. Best in-character line you've ever had?
I don't think that's something I could decide.
I
think that's something someone else has to decide.
I'd have to have a list. Be fucked if I remember.
Same, but like
the only one that comes to mind for me is Beep Boop Whir.
That's just because the entire table fucking lost its shit. I don't know about funniest line. For me, best line has to be something cool. And, like, I've said some cool shit in the guise of role-playing, but at the same time, that's not something you can decide. That's something that the people who are playing with you have to decide. There's nothing less cool than deciding that something you said was really cool.
I mean, really most of the things that Zoot said, just because I did the Patrick Warburton voice.
Which, it's the easiest way to make something sound cool.
It's like when I cut that guy's arm off and it still had the gun in it, so I held it to his head and went, "Hey, you dropped this." Like, I could have said fucking anything.
Zoot had that magical Arnold...
tofu samples. It would have been fine.
No, Zoot had that magical action hero one-liner superpower. I don't know. It's probably something I said as Miles, to be perfectly honest. If I had to.
Yeah, he was kind of a hard man. He was
like I was. Miles was pretty much the king of quietly explaining how he's going to murder you.
Yeah, I don't know. Laz had some good stuff too, and fucking, it was probably I don't even remember the exact thing, but I'm pretty sure it was something Paxton said at the end of the game.
Oh yeah, when we were fighting what is essentially the creator of the universe, and Paxton said, "So you control the laws of reality." Bitch, I'm a wizard. I change the laws of reality before I eat breakfast.
Yeah, that was some good shit. It was super good character moments. It was things finally coming to a head. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to decide.
I just don't think that's something that I can decide.
I don't commit a lot of them to memory.
No, I
say so much cool shit every day.
It's hard to remember. God damn, you managed to ruin that.
But it's true though. You tell me my own jokes later, and I'm like, "That's great. Who said that?" And you're like, "You egotistical shithead."
I think it says also something about me that I tell you your own jokes later.
Yeah, well, fuck. I mean, I'm ADHD, and I guess you really like me.
Moving on. I think this
is the last question for episode 1 of this 2-part podcast, and I think it's pretty fitting. Your most epic in-character death.
I don't know that I've ever had an epic in-character death.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever heroically sacrificed myself for the cause.
I never did get to crash that Death Star into that Death Star.
No, you did not. I've had some character deaths, obviously, but they've all been either bad shit happened, or the DM read the dice wrong. Guess whose head came off?
It was epic for that donkey.
Yeah, it was, and all the people around who never fucked with that donkey again.
Which still continues to be epic for that donkey.
But I don't know that I've ever had a heroic last stand, or holding off the oncoming hordes for my escaping party members. Which, by the way, that would be great. That would be a great way to exit for a character. A Scourge the Executioner moment. That'd be great. But it's never happened.
I don't think I've had that either. I haven't died that many times. Twice.
I have. I've died slightly more, but a lot of my characters were throwaway, "Oh, I died? Erase the name field. Cool. Well, I have a new character now." But that was way, way back in the day.
That's kind of funny. For as shitty as I am at, rolling the dice, not many of my characters have died.
You're a survivor. I'm your DM. Can confirm. I don't cheat. I don't fudge dice rolls. I don't, change the damage a monster does because you're low on hit points. I don't. I never have. I've never needed to. You're just a survivor. I don't know what the fuck it is. You have like a magic power to avoid death.
Well, I hope that keeps up.
In real life,
else?
Especially.
Anything? Yes, actually. But that's stories for another podcast. Anything you want to leave us off with, the boy?
No, I'm excited to answer the rest of these questions.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And
this is a pretty good survey,
right? We're gonna do it. This is why I picked it. We're gonna do that right now for us, but you guys have to wait a week. Wait, if you subscribe though, you would be able to come back to this podcast at your leisure. You don't have to hit the notification button. Oh my God, you can if you want to, but I'm not gonna ask you to do that shit. Just hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, and say, "Gee golly gosh, I thought this episode was super great, and you guys are really handsome."
Or, "You guys are tools, I hate you." Either one. Really, just...
Only tell me nice things. I don't want to cry.
No, I mean, I'll fight you over the internet, whatever.
Come at me, Scrub Lord, I'm ripped.
Pretty much. Everything's better when nerds talk about it.
Fuck it, let's get hardcore! Blood, pain, we're all insane. Suffer head trauma, destroy our